All right, good day. All right. Oh my God, this is incredible. We have hundreds of people here, tons of people. Edward, Raymond Edwards, I think you're famous, man. People love you have something that people around the world want to see you. This is great. Um, Before we start, I want to thank everybody for being here. Let me go really quickly through our agenda and introduction. Welcome to Savi. Thank you very much. There's still a couple tools that we want you to know to use. I've been seeing a lot of people already writing, which is great. That's our chat box. Let us know where you're from, which city, which country, where you're living, where you're staying in quarantine right now. If you have any questions at the end of the event, we're going to have our Q&A. Make sure to ask any questions below. We'll try to go through as many questions as possible. Please, if possible, try to share this event with as many people. We appreciate it a lot. Today's agenda, we're going to do a really quick intro. Then we're going to go through 5 minutes on a video talking about history. Then after we see that video, we're going to go through some interviews. Then we're going to see another video about production. And then we're going to do another interview. And then we'll go to our around the clock Q&A. But before we start, today's main topic is a virtual tour of Angostura Distillery. We have two guests. Actually, our original guest was Raymond Edwards, and for those who don't know who Raymond Edwards is, he's a good friend of mine. He's a Trinidadian chief mixologist called Raymond Edwards from the House of Angostura. He's been appointed the Tales Global Attaché. He's been with Angostura for a couple of years, many years already, and I'll let him talk to you a little bit more about himself. But we also have John George, who joined Angostura in 1982 and has worked in many different roles in the production of the fine rum. He has held senior management roles in the distillery, aging departments, packing departments, company worldwide capital projects, of course, master blender. So he's the guy to talk to during this presentation, as well as Raymond Edwards. Well, let's just say 1 second. Raymond, say hi to everybody here. 1 second.
Okay.
Say hello. Say hello to everybody.
So hello and hi to everyone throughout the world. During this crisis, I hope that everyone is safe and at home. And I hope that in the days and weeks to come, we will be able to overcome whatever challenges that we have. For everyone who have joined this live interview, I would like to say thank you so much from the House of Angostura to all our brand ambassadors, and of course to Federico, my good friend, man, for giving us the House of Angostura the opportunity to bring everyone into our homes. Getting John to join us today was very, very special. And I'd like to say thanks to John as well for taking time to share a lot of his experiences with us here today. I think it's very important for us to protect and preserve our not just historian, but coming out of COVID-19. I think it's important for us to understand the importance of individuals that capture and have all this information and history, and protect those individuals and protect those very important information and relics that is very important to our history and our brand. So thank you so much.
Well, let's start with the first part. Let's start with the video. Talks a little bit about the history. This is a part that you have a lot of knowledge about. Let me get this video set up. Last time I learned that, you gotta make sure that I maintain my, let's see, here we go.
Very few modern companies, especially in the Caribbean, can lay claim to a history that spans nearly 2 centuries. But this is part of what makes the House of Angostura so special. Its timeless and innovative products have always had a tremendous impact on the society of the day. The journey began in 1824 when Dr. Johann Siegert, a German medic serving as Surgeon General in Simon Bolivar's army, perfected the recipe for the now world-famous Angostura aromatic bitters, or as he called it, Amargo Aromatico, to help ease the pain of injured soldiers. The concoction was named after the Venezuelan town of Angostura, in which Siegert resided, now called Ciudad Bolivar. About 50 years later, seeking a more stable political climate, the family migrated to Trinidad, with Dr. Siegert's sons, Carlos, Alfredo, and Luis, now at the helm of the small manufacturing business, which, in homage to its Latin American beginnings, was called Dr. J.G.B. Siegert e Hijos. Bitters was now being sold internationally, but its recipe was still a closely guarded secret. Still, everyone from royalty to the literati was raving about it, including author Mark Twain, who in a famous 1874 letter to his wife attributed his perfect digestion to the product. In 1903, Carlos Siegert had died, leaving his two brothers in charge. The very next year, Alfredo was appointed purveyor of Angostura aromatic bitters to the King of Prussia. In 1907, Angostura offered the same service to King Alfonso XIII of Spain. In 1909, the company, now registered in England, went public and in 1912 began to supply bitters to His Majesty King George V. Siegert, recognizing the universal appeal of the bitters product, officially changed the name of the company to Angostura Bitters, Dr. J.G.B. Siegert and Sons Limited, on August 30th, 1921. The royal demand for bitters has never wavered. In 1952, Angostura was chosen as the bitters provider for His Majesty King Gustav VI of Sweden, and in 1955 was awarded a royal warrant to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. It remains the only Caribbean company to enjoy this privilege. Its rum tradition dates back to the 1900s. Trinidad Distillers, with its multi-column commercial distillery, became a wholly owned subsidiary of the company in 1947. By the early 1960s, the path of the future was clear, as profits on rum exceeded those on bitters for the first time ever. By 1971, Angostura was the largest non-oil exporter in the country, establishing a strategic alliance with Bacardi, which acquired 45% shareholding in the company. It also received the Prime Minister's Exporter of the Year award the following year. But Angostura's rum manufacturing really came to the fore in 1973 with the acquisition of Fernandez Distillers, an already established rum-making name. The coming together of these two legacies, Fernandez and Siegert, brought popular brands like VAT 19 and Black Label rums to join Angostura's Old Oak Gold and Old Oak White. In just over 10 years, Angostura would receive a national award, the Hummingbird Gold Medal, for its stellar contribution to industry, the first company to be honored in this way. In 1992, the company officially changed its name to Angostura Limited. 5 years later, the CL Financial Group, one of the largest holding companies in the Caribbean, proceeded to buy other international beverage companies, eventually forming CL World Brands, which marketed and distributed Angostura's rums and bitters globally. 1996 was a memorable year. The company won the Exporter of the Year award for the second time, and Angostura's new 20-acre complex, housing everything from offices to its new cutting-edge bottling line, was commissioned, boasting an impressive capacity of more than 1 million cases of product annually. In the year 2000, diversification was the name of the game. New brands like Caribbean Club Rum Punch, Lemon Lime and Bitters, the company's first non-alcoholic beverage, the international rum range comprising the present Reserva, 5-year-old Gold and 7-year-old Dark rums, Angostura 1919 and Angostura 1824 were all well received, continuously winning awards. When the CL Financial Group faced a liquidity crisis in 2009, Angostura managed to keep its head above water, even as the world was feeling the effects of the global financial crisis. a testament to the quality and distinctiveness of the company's products.
All right. Okay. John, you're enjoying us. Great. Let me. I think you're on mute right now. There we go. Can you hear us?
John.
I can hear you very well.
All right, John. I like your orange shirt. It's very bright.
Yeah, well, what can I say? Wardrobe. My wife or my daughter, someone suggested it.
All right, John. I did a quick introduction about the team, about Edward and yourself. But if you wanted to say hi to the public right now, there's a lot of people here eager to know more about you guys.
Well, welcome everyone to a very different Easter Monday. Very different Easter Monday, but it's fun to be doing this. Out of this troubled time has come this very, very interesting moment.
Well, and we got rum, which is good, in our hands. So for those who don't know, there's like a 5 second or 8 second lag between our communication and our John's communication. Sometimes it's a little bit slower right now. So, uh, but let's start. Let's start with the presentation. We got Raymond here that looks all nice and shiny with his bottles. All right. So the first video that we saw today is about history, right? And there's a couple questions that we started asking. Here are the questions. I'm just sharing a quick glance so everybody can view them. And now I'm gonna bring Raymond Edwards to the big screen so he can see the highlight of the presentation. I see Matt is here from Cocktail One. He's sharing his recent article that he put. There's so many people from everywhere. It's amazing. A lot of people love you guys.
I must say it's an amazing article that was produced by Matt himself. It's almost like talking to John while reading his work.
That's
Very,
right.
very good. Matt, thank you so much, Matt. Thank you.
I think for me, Matt is one of the best.
It was great.
Right.
It was a lot of fun.
And John, you look really.
Matt is amazing.
John looked young in that picture with that. All right, so let's start with the question.
Well, I am young.
I know you are. I know you are. All right, Raymond. Starting with a little bit of history, Angostura bitters, which is 24.7 volume of alcohol, right? It always needed alcohol, of course. When the company started, where did its source its rum from, or like its alcohol from, before becoming a distillery?
So that's an amazing question. You know, Angostura has a really amazing history. One that I fell in love with approximately 15 years ago, and I haven't been able to put down that book or tune away from any of experiences that I would have had while being at Angostura. In the early 1900s, Angostura focused mainly on its bitters production. Uh, it wasn't producing rums in those earlier years. However, it was known for its blending expertise. As a result of that, uh, a lot of the rum that was used to make our bitters was actually um, sourced from Trinidad. As in those earlier years, a lot of rum distilleries, several of them actually, was scattered throughout the island. We had close to 50 sugarcane refineries on the island. So to answer your question, in the earlier years, Angostura wasn't known for producing rum. We were known primarily for blending rum, from which we use a lot in our bitters production.
Understood. Um, the Well, something really cool about the video that I love is that so there was a town in Venezuela that was called Angostura, which I didn't know. I thought, and then it was changed to Bolivar, right?
Yes,
Uh,
it was.
and I that was actually one of the questions that I wanted to put in the list, but the video explains it, and I really enjoyed it. Um, let's go to question number 2. Which was the first rum expression launched under the Angostura brand?
Ooh, good question. John, you want to take a shot at that one?
Well, yeah, sure. Angostura started to be involved in the rum business, but they insisted on keeping rum and bitters separately. So even though the rum was made by Angostura, the rums never carried the Angostura brand. In the early days, there was something called Seagert's Bouquet, which was probably the first rum that Angostura ever produced. And it was more of a rum infused with some of the botanicals that they used in bitters. As they got involved in that business, they moved away from the infusion and went to pure rums, just regular rums. And Seagert's Bouquet morphed into a 4-year-old rum, straight rum. And there were many brands in between, none of them carrying the name Angostura. It was not until probably the late 1990s that Angostura made a concerted effort into the international market did they make the decision to put Angostura prominently on the label. So there were not any rums that were prominently Angostura on the label until the late 1990s, early 2000s.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
And the other rum brands, John, do they continue existing on their own brand name?
Yes, these rums, particularly in the local market, when you get to Trinidad, Federico, you will get to sample white oak rum, and you'll get to sample Forest Park Punch and Rum. You'll get to sample Bat 19. All of these rums are made by Angostura, but carry their own brand names.
I am
And
very
I
ready.
think you can get white oak rum in the US as well.
Which one?
White oak.
I think you can get white oak rum. I think there's an Angostura white oak rum available in the US.
Okay, very well. Thank you, John. Raymond, back to you. Do any of the original family members continue at the company currently?
If any of the original family members, um, presently, no. The last member of the family to visit the house of Angostura could have been 12 years ago. His name is Gordon Seagert, an amazing guy, very pleasant, very tall indeed, um, well spoken, and very, very loved and appreciated for all the work that would have been done throughout the years, throughout actually with his family, the Seagert brand and its legacy. So only Gordon Seagert is around. However, he has very little or no involvement with the operations, the day-to-day operations of the company. I think John would have met him uh, a couple of years ago as well.
Yes, Gordon Seagate is the great great
Yeah,
grandson of the original founder of the company, and he really sold the last of his interests in Angostura in I think 1983 or 84, somewhere in that general area, perhaps 85, and he has no direct ownership or influence with Angostura anymore.
correct.